Hi, and welcome to the Diablo podcast. Your home for Diablo tryhards, diehards, casual, and hardcore. I am your host, Sam, and I am joined by my lovely co-host, Nineball,
Oh, hi.
and a man whose face has graced your BattleNet screens, has taken over Xbox's own Twitch, and BlizzCon itself, Macro Bio Boy.
Oh, we're recording? Oh no. Oh no. They saw the dumb cowl thing. Hey everybody, thank you for having me back. And I appreciate the introduction. That's way too wildly nice of you to say, but they're all technically true. So you're not lying.
It's like, well, every time we talk, you do something else that's really cool, so it feels needed to add that to an introduction. Like, oh yeah, he did that, and then he did that, and then he did that. So why not bring it up?
Why not? Playing video games, who would have known?
Yeah.
Though
So-
I do have one thing to say though. We do have a new co-host.
Oh yes.
Oh, the boy.
Yeah, we got Duriel is now official co-host. Here he goes.
I love
That's
that.
approved.
Yeah.
Well, let's run
Is
with it.
is that an official Eludiana original?
This is a 100% official Eludiana original. Went through. This is spawned from a joke during like the 2019 opening ceremony about turning Duriel into a handbag, and well, Duriel is now a handbag.
Can you give the full 360 for the camera so that everybody can see? So, audio listeners, there's this amazing. That is way bigger than what I thought.
Yeah,
It's got
this
pockets.
It's got
Oh, wow.
pockets. So obviously, you got the handbag pocket up top, but
Yeah.
in celebration of him having a new mouth in the front, there is a hidden pocket
Wow.
up front. So yeah.
So again, for audio
His
listeners,
buggy butt.
Nineball
buggy
is
butt.
displaying a massive, basically, like this is a duffel bag in the shape of amazing stuffed animal looking Duriel. Like
With
I had seen-
absolutely the derpiest face that you could possibly imagine.
Yeah, and it's a props again to Eludiana for absolutely nailing it, because like the face is already derpy and cute enough, but then the extra little derpy tooth
yeah,
is just like the
yeah.
perfect level. That's what makes it the 110%. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's I had seen pictures on Twitter and I'd only seen the front profile. I didn't realize how
Yeah.
massive it actually was.
That's kind of actually why you only ever saw the front profile, because it was a lot to try and get the whole thing in the photo.
Yeah.
So again, Eludiana, thank you if you're listening out there in the interwebs.
I think that is a good segue. Not about Duriel bags, but like why are we here? What are we doing today? We're talking about BlizzCon because you both went.
Sorry, the
witnessed
three of
it.
us went.
Yeah, that's true. The three of you
Co-host.
went.
Yeah. I literally just introduced him. That's rude.
You got to give Duriel his roses. He flew all the way here from California.
That's true.
So-
That's true.
It's his first time. It's his first time in a different state, man. You're making
He's
me
He's
nervous.
crushing it.
He should
Yeah.
be perfectly fine in a swamp like that. So,
That's racist.
yeah. And you know what? I will own it in this time.
It's racist against maggots. That's just low.
It's what I expect of Florida. So, mark it down, Leviathan. Here on November 9th, it took us about 5 minutes for racist accusations and complete derailing. We haven't even gotten into anything. But that's okay. So we're going to talk about BlizzCon. We're going to talk about all the pretty cool announcements. And then we're going to talk about all the great experiences that you guys got to go and have. And hopefully you can share some stories for, I would assume, the myriad of people who didn't get to attend. Or at least me. So I can live vicariously through all the cool stuff that you guys got to do. So let's start up top with the new announcements. We got let's go with the biggest one first. The new expansion. So you guys were there. You're on the floor. You get to hear and see the new trailer. What was the reaction like? How did you feel, and what were your thoughts? Nineball?
I guess this was like, it's always like when you go into BlizzCon, you kind of like some things like get spoiled, and there's like the data mining and such that happened before. So kind of had expectations going into it that we were going to have this, but at the same time, it still was, it was really cool. It was awesome. I was just happy to go through and see the kind of like the confirmation. We are going to get an immediate follow up of the story, going to follow into Nirel's storyline and such. And of course, hey, we get to go home again to Kurost and Travancore and all that stuff. So I thought it was pretty cool.
Matt?
So the biggest part about the announcement is that it reminded me that I'm playing a video game that I care about. That's like cool that it's a video game. Unironically, like so much of it was just me like taking notes and making sure I can tweet something and do I got a good pick? And it's just like, nope, cinematic time. We're going to just listen to Mephisto be absolutely heinously evil while we slow pan over a ziggurat. And it was just awesome. It was just like really, really cool to be a fan in that moment, watching it happen. And then like we'll get more into the other stuff that goes about it, but it's just like, oh, we're going back to Kurost, huh? All right, sick, cool. Trav runs are back on the table, baby. Hey, can I just say, if they introduce runes with this, I refuse to do Trav runs for runes. I want to put that out there. I refuse to do it. I've been doing it for 20 years. I want to do something else. But it was incredibly cool.
Well, that's awesome. And I can definitely say, even from home, I was pretty stoked to go through and watch that. We also were told in tandem, we're going to be getting a new class. And from the confines of home, like the big criticism was not finding out what that class was. Now, I'll share my reasons later of why that wasn't a big deal for me, but that was a thing of like, hey, you announced that there is one, but you didn't say what it was. What was the feeling like on the floor about like hearing that? Of like, hey, we got a new class coming. Were there grumblings? Were there people being like, you're not going to tell us? Or was it just like, hey, that's awesome, we're excited, tell us later, it'll be fun?
So, I mean, during the opening ceremony itself, it was just kind of like the rush of excitement and such, and you didn't really have those conversations until afterwards to have time to like sit and consume it and such. And I think a lot more of that came, during the campfire chat on the day after. So it was definitely, there was a hunger there, for more information, and surprise, the Diablo community wants more info.
Who'd have thought?
Yeah, who would have thought? We're just sitting here and doing complex calculus equations as how to get to level 100 3 seconds faster. So there's always going to be a want for more info and such.
The interesting part about it, if we can like quick bridge the gap between talking about the fact, like once we were talking about the fact that we didn't know what the class was, and all we learned is that it's very specifically a thing which has never been seen before, not hasn't been played before, but has not been seen before. So it's whole cloth, a new concept. But we're going back to Kurost. But we're going to the whole area, right? We're not just getting off at the dock. I have a whole question about that too. Who's the person that we're going to meet who is in D2? Because they alluded to that. And if it isn't Ormus, I will riot. If it isn't Alcor, I will also riot. If it isn't Natalia, I will triple riot. There's a whole. If it's anybody else, I will also riot. But
I'm pretty sure that Natalia isn't there anymore. She's moved on. She got a new job. She had to change locations.
But the just like very specifically, one, it's not a paladin, it's not a holy class, which would make sense, right? Unless there was like weird redeemed Zakarum who are just there somehow after Mephisto had been, his soulstone had been, I don't know. I don't know how it could fit in.
Yeah, so that's one of the interesting things, and I do wonder, with them going through and like retconning the name of the region to Nahatu, like what other changes that they might go through and make in the background, because this actually isn't the first time that we're getting to revisit Kuros since the events of Diablo 2. Shortly before Diablo 3, there's the novel The Order that Deckard Cain and a very small Leah visit Kuros, and it is what you call it? It's now it became an outlaw haven. The Zakarum was overthrown. Everybody had already fled. They weren't able to like retake the capital or anything like that, and so they just left what was there. And so all of the outlaws, brigands, pirates, all the other types of such went and took over. And so it became, it became a very not nice place to be. And I wonder how much of that we're going to go through and see, given, it's 50 years later from, past that point. Was it retaken? We see that there was a renewed Zakarum push, through Kyrgyzstan and into Hawazar. Maybe there was some forays to try and retake that area, and obviously with the jungle being in control of everything, maybe not so successul. But I would like to see at least some sort of acknowledgement of like the events that had taken place before in some of the, previous writings.
It's also super rough that like they already killed off Mashif, because like who better to bring us to that place, like very specifically to bring us to that place to like keep that story kind of intact there. Interesting. I didn't know about that novel. But I was not mad to find out that it's a completely new class, because that's really what I had been asking for whenever that question came up. Like, do you want to see the Paladin? What do you want to see? The Amazon? And I was like, give me a Haradrim, like Tinkerer or something. Like, give me something new. And they said, sure, we'll go ahead and do that. So I think it'll be a caster class, because I think there's currently an underrepresentation of caster classes. And I'm choosing to ignore the leaked data mine that we have found. So don't read that. Don't read that. This is my thought. I think it's a caster class.
Yeah. This is going back like almost a year when we were going and trying to figure out what like we were theorizing what the fifth class was going to be and such. And I guess more than a year ago. It's been, God, has it really been that long? I guess this wasn't on our podcast. This was on like the Westmarch Workshop and Dinctuary and such, trying to go through and figure out what the last final class was going to be. And I had said like I was torn. I wanted it to be the Necromancer, but also for the fifth class, I would like to see something new. And so this is definitely going to be cool. To see, what the team can come up with no limitations, no binding, no expectations for how the class should play or operate or anything like that. And what they can come up with on their own.
I said I would go into it eventually, and now is that time. I'm not disappointed to not find out, and again, there are data mine leaks, but I wasn't disappointed not to get a full reveal and see it in action or anything like that, because it's still many months out. Realistically, we would imagine this is going to come out October, maybe July, if we're following like the way seasons are going. And that means I would have to wait 8 months before I would get to play it. And that means I would have 11 or 8 months to not enjoy playing Diablo 4 as much, because I wanted to get that new toy soon. Like once you know the new version of something that is something that's coming out that you like, the old version doesn't appeal as much. And Path of Exile has this problem a lot, where they will introduce what the new league is, or they used to do it, a little like a month before, and you'd be like, oh man, that sounds really awesome. I'm done now with this season, right?
Yep.
And if that doesn't happen, then I can still really enjoy what's currently happening in season 2. I can still currently enjoy what's going to happen in season 3 and 4 and 5, or as many as it's going to take. So to me, that felt great. I definitely get where people were upset. You told us a new class, but you didn't talk about it. But I'm okay waiting if I'm enjoying what I'm doing right now, and it doesn't take away from that enjoyment.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, by all means.
The only pushback that I can have to defend people to argue on their behalf is there is still like a pretty big holdout of Eternal players. There are a lot of people who are like new to the genre and don't understand and do not appreciate the value of a season. And I get that question all the time, like, oh, but does this work in Eternal? What if I'm only playing in Eternal? Oh, I'm an Eternal. And I go, what do you mean you're an Eternal? I have those characters there to test out stuff when it goes live. But the one thing, just because we are talking about a game that's meant to be played in perpetuity, that's perpetual gear grinding, is that if we knew more about the class, we could begin saving up gear that would translate to that class. So the Necromancer and the Barbarian can both use two-handed swords. So if I find a really good two-handed sword with all stats and core skill damage and crit and vulnerable, I know I can send it over to my Barbarian, re-roll it for strength, and then I have a perfect two-handed sword to put on my guy or whatever. The sooner we learn about the class, the sooner people can begin prepping gear for that class, so that when it comes out, they get to get their head start. You're rewarded for playing the game more by doing this speculative like gear grind. That's kind of the only thing. What's interesting is we go, there's going to be a new class. Okay, cool. It's not coming out until late 2024. And I went, oh, this is a year away. I don't care. Like, it's a year away. We're going to get teaser trailers. We're going to get stuff. I'm going to get lore. And then 3 or 4 months before it comes out, we'll get the new class. That seems reasonable to me. But there is like that one little like weird little use case where it's like, well, I could be preparing right now, and maybe I like doing that, and maybe that's fun for me. And I'm tired of getting gear for a build I've already been playing or whatever. But I guess I find it hard to like be mad about stuff when you just kind of understand it's all just part of the rigmarole of like development cycles and releases in video games in general. Obviously we're kind of zoomed in here, and it's easy for us to be like, well, that's just how it works. Not everybody professionally looks at video games. But when I found other people like pissed, I was like, oh, okay. I mean, things just have long tails. That's just kind of how announcements go.
Yeah. And one of my thoughts on it was also is that they didn't want to put like too much, because like for the Diablo players, the stuff that we learned coming in season 2 and the little teasers for season 3 was kind of like the meat of the announcements. Those are the things that we like really care about, and because like the expansion is going to be so far off, it wouldn't really matter for the majority of Diablo players anyways. But that's the type of thing that the news like the news websites, all of your IGNs, GameSpots, and all of the type of stuff that they're going to latch on to talk and push articles on. And, for those that only play Diablo and are listening to this podcast, probably one of the largest like pieces of news in WoW's history ever got announced there. And they really did not want that to share the spotlight with literally anything else. And it makes sense from a marketing perspective, because when Blizzard puts all of their eggs into one like marketing basket through BlizzCon to make the majority of their announcements, if you go through and be like, yeah, we've got like this amazing like World of Warcraft story arc coming out, and we have all of these amazing things coming in like the Diablo 3 expansion, and we have all this other stuff coming out of Overwatch, it kind of like, it dilutes you're sharing you're what is it? You're splitting the same attention, for so you're diluting the message that you're trying to get across. And this BlizzCon 100% was, they're doing something really cool and really different for how they are tackling content with World of Warcraft, and it makes sense, and that's cool. That's fine. We get to share the limelight next year, because I think you were saying like 8 months, 11 months and stuff like that. I think that's conservative. I don't think that we'll have the game out if we're recording this podcast after next year's BlizzCon. I think that the game itself still will not be out, or the expansion won't be out, and it will be a later in the year type thing.
I don't want to think like that. I'm going to be playing it in July. No, and that's totally fine, because you guys are just setting up great segues. It's great to know, but what's even better is knowing how Season 2 is still evolving and where Season 3 is going. So we've already, as of this week, and again, Leviathan, it's November 9th. So as of this week, we got our first addition to Season 2, which is the reintroduction of Malignant Powers on rings, farmable from Varshan. So let's start there. Have you found your ring? What are you doing with it? And since I believe, what class do you guys both play? Oh, that's right, it's a Necromancer. So you got like the coolest power ever back. Have you both farmed that ring? I know the answer for at least one of you. Have you farmed that ring, and how are you enjoying it?
So let me start off by saying Blizzard lied to us. Dun dun dun. Blizzard showed us a tooltip for a ring with stats that are impossible and went, this is the ring. And then me, like an idiot baby, believed a tooltip. And then I went and made an extrapolation video. I went, here's what it will look like upgraded. This is bananas. It has the most lucky hit chance, the most maximum life, the most essence, and it will get +4 to skill ranks. And they're like, no, you silly little baby. No, it's not as good as that. But yeah, I mean, day one, I think my third ring dropped and it was 2% off perfect. And then today I dropped a new ring that is 1% off perfect. So it's bananas. It's super strong. I came up with like a list of how to incorporate it into every build. It's not super great on every build, right? It turns out that not every build really cares about Corpse Explosion, but most things care about Corpse Tendrils and maintaining that damage proc from it. So it's an obviously great ring. I think the Druid ring is also very good, and the Barbarian ring is also very good, if I'm not mistaken. And then the Sork ring is like pretty okay. And then the Rogue ring is Keck W. It lays down a trap or whatever that taunts people every 12 seconds. So I've been fighting that good fight, trying to lobby for that ring to get a boost to it. And I know a lot of other people have, but it's cool. It's a really awesome inclusion, and it's interesting that we so quickly incorporated seasonal, pre-season or previous seasonal concepts into the game as a mainstay. And well, I think it's a little bit too strong. Like literally, the Necromancer ring, I think is literally too strong. I love the precedent that this is setting for the developers. If a month into every season we got a cycle, this is like a Magic the Gathering term, but like a cycle of things that are the previous season inclusion, like this is what was cool. This one, we're all getting new boots because Metamorphosis is awesome, so everybody is getting a boot or whatever. Or it doesn't need to be every single class gets one. It's just this new unique is representative of the past season. This is the thing that we think was cool enough. I like that. The more energy and time and consideration that devs are putting into keeping the fun things in the game, the better. Me personally, I'll worry about balance and like tier listing later, but like just keep giving people toys that they like. Hell yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I was genuinely surprised by it. Like, this is the kind of thing, like, integrating past league mechanics that Path of Exile sometimes takes multiple leagues to do, or shelves and like waits for the conversation to kind of settle down, and then dilutes it a little bit and brings it back in a form that everybody hates. Nobody's really complaining outside of rogues about these rings. My only complaint is that after like 10 versions, I haven't found one yet, but I will. I will. Damn it. But no, it was nice. Like, and you added it to something that I was already killing. I was already farming. It doesn't require living steel to go and get it.
Yep. The most important thing in Diablo 4, living steel.
So
Yeah.
that also is nice. And it's also much more approachable. It's not gated by like something like Duriel or anything that would require multiple mats to get to. Everybody's doing whispers, and Barshan is so approachable. So it was perfect, and I definitely enjoy it. Side note, guys, as Necromancers, this does seem to be a pretty great season for you. And I mentioned on the last podcast that I was inspired by both of you, and I did start a Necromancer, and I left it at level 5 to go play a Druid again. I did my best. Now, this was supposed to be your season, Necromancers, all the way. Does it feel kind of crappy to still be overshadowed by a sorcerer now?
So I can answer that one. I literally don't care what someone else is doing. I'm having a lot of fun, and that's all that matters to me.
Good.
So yeah, that's perpetually the conversation that I'm having, because part of what I do is I'm responsible for how the Necromancers tier up on our tier list on Max Roll. People go, why would you ever make that B tier? And I go, because I think it's relatively this powerful. And they're like, but I was just building that build, and now what am I going to do? And I go, play the build. Yeah. What is happening right now? What's like, do you know how the scoring says? Like, B is above average. Mm-hmm. S is like Super Saiyan Blue God tier Kaioken 20 Goku. Like these things are broken. A tier are like really.
Thank you for making an anime reference that I understood.
Hey, I'm trying. I would love to get caught up on Dragon Ball Z. Well, at this point, Dragon Ball, whatever it is. Like, oh my God, I just watch infinite TikToks about Dragon Ball because I just love Vegeta and Goku saying inspirational stuff. You fool! Okay, we could go on and on, but that's like
different podcast.
Different podcasts. But it's like these builds are insane. These builds are really good. These builds are very good. These builds are good for all the content. And now we're in C tier. So when people like, Ball Sorceress, I'm like, yeah, are you in competition with Ball Sorceress? And they go, no. I go, then what are we talking about? Who cares? Yeah. You can't play Ball Sorceress on the Barbarian, it turns out. No matter how many pieces of gear you swap over, he's not going to have a bunch of lightning balls around him. So I don't care. What's very interesting, so here's the legitimate impact. Not to like completely discredit everybody's concept of FOMO and like in their feelings and their validation, but like when I go to Legion events, I just sit on my horse and then I look to see where the ball sorks are going and I go the other direction to go do damage. Mm-hmm. So in that way, I can understand how it's negatively impacting your ability to have fun. And I only put air quotes there because it's to you. And I'm quoting people who say these things. I do not personally feel it because to me, it's another one of the things I have to check off my list to get the stuff that I need to go do the stuff that I think is fun. Games are always going to have broken builds. And I actually currently like their approach to things. While the devs could do better at communicating whether or not something is a bug or they're going to leave it in, they're basically going like, oh, something's broken during the season. It's going to be broken. And then I assume they're going to, when they do balance at the end of the season, going into the next one, they'll go, okay, everybody, you had fun with your ball sork. We are going to bring that back down because, oh boy, we put too many. There was a comma in there and I don't even know you could have commas. But like, I'm fine with that. If it means there's a 3-month period where like the best build is Stormclaw Druid, go for it. If the best build is Minion Necro, go for it. If the best build is the just me and my 3 buddies charging around Barbarian, go for it. That's fine as long as we have clear communication on whether or not it's a bug and if it's going to stay in, because nobody likes building something getting it nerfed, right? But who cares, dude? They look at all. They're having a lot of fun over there with their stabs and their robes and whatever else sorceresses equip. I don't know.
And their
I don't
balls.
play it.
They're having
And their
fun with
balls.
their balls.
Just playing with balls all day long, and I appreciate it because honestly, world bosses are quick, Legion events are quick, and I'm okay with that. And as a hardcore player, it's helping me avoid death to this day. So thank you, ball sorcerers. You're doing me a solid. Okay. So we got new rings. But that's not all.
I did just have one more thing to say on like the broken builds and such. And it's like, it's obviously in season 3 we're going to go through and get leaderboards, and so there could be a question of, well, what if the broken build is going to affect the leaderboards, what have you, but the leaderboards are divided by class, so it still doesn't matter if nothing changes and ball lightning sorts are still like super powerful. It doesn't affect my own leaderboard contention or progression while playing a necromancer.
Yeah, I'm in competition with no one. My goal is really just to live, maybe make 100 this season. And yeah, I have no illusions of grandeur in this, but I am definitely having fun. And that was where we were going to start at the top of this podcast was, how your season is going. And then we dovetailed because you brought out that excellent bag. But
co-host.
Yes, we brought out
you
brought out the well, I guess the third and the triumvirate of hosts, right? No longer a co, it's a triumvirate. So
it's okay. He's a lesser co-host.
Yeah,
just like he's a lesser evil.
So it feels wrong to do this midway, but how is your season going, guys?
I got an Uber Unique. Just dropped it. Yeah, it's literally running late for this podcast because we loaded up like 40 Duriel kills and I forgot what day it is because my life has no meaning and calendars don't exist. Dropped the Melted Heart of Selig. Might be usable on Bone Spirit, maybe. I don't know, man. I thought it was a multiplier. It's not. It just says 30 essence. And I was like, oh. That's nothing. No, my season's been going great. I've actually, we've only had one season. You got to remember, I had 1,000 hours in this game before it came out, right? So like, I've been playing seasons for a while, and I've been very motivated to grind out stuff, try out new builds, do the new content. I feel like I'm constantly doing something like, oh, now I'm going to go do a Legion. Oh, the world boss is here. Oh, a Helltide? Absolutely. Oh, I need some crafting mats. Let me go do some Blood Harvest just to go, salvage some legendaries. The game is in a great place as far as carrots to chase, and I really appreciate that. The only thing I don't like is doing Nightmare Dungeons, but at least now I can speed farm tier 100s. So that's good. I just like run to the end, kill a boss in 30 seconds and get my glyph XP. So it's interesting, but I'm having a great season. What about you, Nineball?
So I mentioned this on the last podcast. This season probably started at one of the absolute worst possible times that it could have for me. So prior to BlizzCon, I only got to like 72, 74, something like that. I literally forgot what my level was when I logged on today. And then, like one of my friends got inspired during BlizzCon and so rolled a sorcerer and is now level 100 already, and he was carrying my ass through some Nightmare Dungeons today. So I'm getting there. But it's been a lot of fun. Even prior to it, just the vampire zones and all of that. It's been really good. And then of course now I've got to prepare. Because we do have more stuff coming. So definitely I have to get my grind on while I still have these next couple of days of PTO to go.
And here we are with another segue. we
I'm
have
good
our
at this.
I know we have our first
A professional.
yeah, we've been doing this a while. I feel like you teed that up really well. So we got our first bit of new season with the rings, and we've got a couple more things on the horizon. But probably the biggest addition is a word that I can say, but every time I've tried to type it out, I misspell it. Abattoir of Zir.
Abattoirs here.
Avatar.
Yeah.
Abattoir. If you thought the word abattoir was going to make its way into your vocabulary at some point, I don't believe you. I don't really, Nineball.
It is actually used a lot in the Flesh Eater courts for my Warhammer Age of Sigmar army.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So that was when they said Abattoir of Zir, I immediately understood that it was the slaughterhouse of Zir. It's like, yeah, okay, it's a butcher shop. Got it. Okay, all good. Yeah, I was there. I knew what was being talked about.
The worst part about the word abattoir is it has doubling of every letter you think, but none of the ones you expect it to have. You're always
Yes.
like A B B A B A B T. Is there one, two T,
Yep.
two R's, two T's? I never spell it right 2 times in a row.
Yeah.
Well, thankfully it's not a spelling bee.
It actually, because it was even like a special like formation. It was just called the
Oh
it was just
my
that's a formation in the Flesh Eater courts back in second edition. It was just called the Abattoir. So yeah, I ran that list. So yeah, no, sorry.
Okay, well, one of us had it in their vocabulary already. Well, the vast majority did not. And it was not what I was expecting. But having a little bit more challenge, and that has been a common critique about Diablo 4 is like, hey, we need more, like, people clamoring for a world tier 5 or just more uber bosses, and which we did see with Duriel, but Duriel's not on the same level of Lilith. So we do have that coming. Mako, do you have any thoughts on that?
Do I have any thoughts on the app? Just like the concept, just like how I feel about it, the fact that I played it for a bunch of hours already, or no?
Oh.
Is that what we're? Is that?
Yes, I feel
Is
like,
that what we're alluding to?
If you've tried it, we should
I have
talk
tried,
about it.
We should probably. Okay, so
Because I have it, Nineball has it.
So for people who don't know, part of what me flying out to BlizzCon was for is I got to visit the amazing Blizzard headquarters, which is beautiful. It's wonderful. All the statues. I got pictures up on social. It's wonderful. Myself, Wudijo, and Riker got to go visit, and part of it was playing in the abattoir. So Daddy Blizzard is right here, and a big old NDA is right here, and my career is right here. So I'm not just gonna divulge everything, but I can kind of talk on the stuff that they've already alluded to. So the Abattoir of Zir, for people who haven't been following along at home, is a new content mode that is coming in season 2, and it's a seasonal content, which is very interesting because the first thought I had when I saw it was like, oh, sick, this is being added to the game forever. And then went, this is season 2, and we'll see about that. And I went, okay, great. It is wild bananas hard. It is some cool dungeon content. That's all I'll say about that. And if you are somebody who was around playing Nightmare Dungeons before they nerfed them into the ground, like pre-season, that was nothing. That was actually nothing. What I can't talk about is the people have seen the glyph that they've added to the game, and they've made the little roadmap of what's going to happen. The glyph says at rank 1, you gain a 30% damage multiplier and a 50% rare bonus node strength to your glyph socket in the board that it's in. Rank 1, 30% damage multiplier. And if you were listening to either my interview or Lucky's interview, a couple people interviewed Adam Jackson. The glyph goes up to rank 200, and it doesn't increase its radius until rank 50. In every 10 ranks, it increases the bonus to the rare nodes, and it also, every rank increases the multiplier. It starts at 30% damage multiplier, and it ranks up 199 times. And you will need this glyph to do the Abattoir of Zir. Sit in that, stew in that concept. I'm trying to think of what I can reveal without getting myself super in trouble. I stalled out at tier 10 is when I stalled out on the build I was playing. I won't say what build. I won't say what's going on there. I had Uber uniques. I stalled out at tier. I stalled out at tier 10 when I went, I need to completely change the build I'm running to push past this. So if you've been looking for a challenge, you're going to get it. If you think your build is good, have fun surviving. I won't tell you what you need to survive or how you need to survive, but maybe your build that just one-shots everything won't be able to take a hit, and it won't matter how much damage you output. Maybe. It was incredibly fun. It was very, very challenging. It will force people to build their characters significantly differently than they have previously. And I'm really excited to see the first person who finishes the final tier and what build can do that, because it's going to be nutty.
Well, as I've safely been playing hardcore and haven't died yet so far this season, I'm going to hang back and watch somebody else do it, I think. I'm going to live vicariously through that until I'm ready to throw away my character.
People should be preparing now. If you haven't leveled up your glyphs to rank 21, go eat your vegetables, go do your work. If you haven't been worrying about getting like perfect stats on some gear because it's been good enough, ain't gonna be good enough. And again, what's very interesting about it is that I don't think it's just take the best builds now and just make them stronger and go. I think it's going to force us to really reconsider what a best build really means at this point. Because I think there's a lot of stuff that's been skating by because the game's very, very easy. So you don't have to worry about as much stuff to be able to make a build work. And the kind of memes that people have been like, oh, I do this and I use this and Flicker Step and OZS Scale and this, and then I have Infinite Bone Storm. And I'm like, do you do damage? Do you actually survive when you don't have Bone Storm up? That's going to be important. So I'd worry about that. But yeah, so it was pretty cool. Also, Shoutouts, obviously. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to go do that kind of stuff. It was wild.
Yeah, I am very excited for this. I think it's always nice to have another challenge, or at least aspirational content, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to know like there's still like one more thing that I can aspire to do and maybe get to eventually. And like that's what makes calling back to Path of Exile, like there are bosses out there that like I haven't got to, but I want to, right? And that's going to keep me coming back. That's what Diablo needs. We need that kind of stuff. So more of that is good. Now we got the seasonal event, right? Which is
non-denominational killer goat man. Absolutely. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of cool to see that stuff happen. It doesn't feel like overly comic-y. It feels genuine to the world of Sanctuary. I'm all for it. I don't want to blow past that too much.
Yeah, it's comedic in a way that works for Diablo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not falling too much into being like overly cartoony as Diablo 3 could kind of get into with certain pets and stuff like that. Let's go the big one. So we're still hanging out in BlizzCon announcements because I want to get to your guys' awesome and cool experiences. I think like the last place to kind of stop before we get to that is what I was most surprised by during all of the stuff. I wasn't surprised by an expansion. I wasn't surprised by hearing about new stuff for, season 3 and what have you. I was surprised that even in the opening on day 1, to hear them say, we're working on itemization. We hear that. And then for that to be reiterated in the campfire chat with Joe Shelley, also bringing up, like, we want to take the aspects and kind of rework that system. We want to make gear more valuable. What was your takeaway, guys, hearing that even on day 1 or day 2?
I'll go first then. Do I speak first? Do you speak first?
I just talked for so long. I thought I did a hand gesture. You couldn't see it because we're not mind linked yet.
Yeah.
I've just been talking for so long.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess it's like, for me, obviously, I like learning things about Diablo and game development and all that other types of stuff. So I know that I look at things differently from, the average player and such, but it's like obviously they've been working on itemization. Like, anybody with like common sense would know that they're working on it. Season 2 was just like a love letter to the community of going through and addressing a lot of major concerns and feedback that the community itself has had. Itemization is just going to go through and take longer with which to do, and that they're just out there up front saying that we're working on it. And that's just like, well, yeah, of course it's something that is going to take a lot more work. But that still doesn't stop people from going through and having issues that the itemization isn't fixed now, or season 2, or for what they said, season 3. It's not going to be. It's they are at least getting out there and trying to set expectations. It is going to take a while, and that's understandable. But it was, for me, it was kind of like a nothing, because it's like, well, yeah, of course you're working on itemization because you've shown that you're going through and listening and addressing feedback. And what's the biggest piece of feedback that the community has been going through and giving Blizzard? Is itemization. So yeah. It makes sense.
To touch on a couple points that you just made, I think it's very interesting at any point for somebody to assume that, like, what does itemization mean? It's like the first concept, right? Yeah. Basically, the concept of picking up things makes you feel as if you're progressing in some way that is palpable, and you can make decisions about your character. If we can use that as a basis of itemization, because everybody kind of has their own. Some people just think the word rune words is itemization, you know what I mean. So when the developers go, we are actively working on itemization, that means that there is part of their team that is looking to recreate the entirety of the game. Now, you may not see it like that. But, just take away some of the affixes and make the numbers higher and make gear better. And it's like, okay, that's a different game. We made a game. It's okay if the majority of people agree the game isn't good enough. We hear you. We got to go make a new game. They just, and this sounds like I'm bootlicking, but I'm really not. It's trying to set a realistic expectation of how long development takes. They have infinite resources. Well, literally, that's not true. No such thing as infinite exists in this universe, as far as this is concerned. Smaller teams do it in less time. Smaller teams can just choose to do it. They can just put out whatever they want. And if it's not good, they do it again. That doesn't work when Microsoft is your dad, oddly enough. That doesn't work when Xbox and Nintendo and PlayStation and Steam all need to now put out releases. You know what I mean?
Just and also, putting in a new item, or a new item name takes 2 weeks for localization of every language version of the game, type thing.
It's very easy to discount the amount of effort that we need to go into to literally just go, these items don't have these stats on them anymore, because that can't just be it. They can't just take them away, right? No. There are whole systems tied to how these stats work. There are special skills that have code readers that have a tag that says if this then that, if this and that. If you just take them all away, it goes, what happened? Nothing? Well, I guess the game freezes. Game development's hard. Itemization is effectively making a new game. When they redid the damage buckets, they just made a different game. Notice how you're playing the game right now and it still works. And like when you do the damage, the numbers make the colors that you want, and you're doing the damage and you're killing the monsters and Ball Sorceress is broken. How you have to remember that those numbers all literally logically did something different a month ago. A month ago, the game was completely different, and now it's here. And then itemization is going to take the game and put it over here. It's just going to be a different game over here now. Yeah, so that's a bunch of apologizing for something I'm not responsible for. But I do think they need to continue to communicate that things are actively in production or actively in development. Because if they don't, while I can assume that they are, the average person can't. Because if you don't tell them, it's not happening. And I get that. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Like not everybody has that insight, which is perfectly reasonable. But with the cadence, with the precedent that they've set of when they start talking about something versus when it gets into the game, it's coming soon. It's probably going to completely change the game again. And while the casual player's experience is just going to be slightly more streamlined, everything behind the scenes is going to be vastly different. The min-maxing is going to be different. The best builds are going to be different. How you build a character is going to be different. And I'm very excited. I appreciate the rate at which they are completely overhauling the game. It came out 5 months ago. It came out 5 months and 3 days ago, guys. Game's been out for 5 months and 3 days, and it's been completely overhauled twice already. And we just started season 2. So very exciting from my side. I love, if I could give them more treats that said, keep just saying every couple weeks, just tell us what's on the radar. Thank you. Just keep doing that. And I'd be completely happy as a player of the video game.
Yeah. I can't argue with that. I don't think we were going to have an argument anyway. Because
I disagree.
Thank
Got
you.
there. Powerful.
Finally, let's raise our voices. I was talking to Nineball pre-show that, you know, everything with Diablo 4 isn't perfect, right? We can still see flaws with it, but the sentiment around the game is so different than what it was just 3 months ago, right? It just feels good, I guess, to like go onto Reddit and see people posting more about finding a Shaco, or how many Duriel runs they've been doing. I'm complaining about Living Steel, but like from a constructive place and not just this game is trash, right? It just feels good, I guess, like, and to hear the devs saying like, hey, this is what we're working on, and like the community responding kindly. It feels like we're in a better place. It doesn't mean that vitriol is not still there. It doesn't mean that like the community doesn't have the propensity for that ability yet again, but like it feels like we're moving in a really good direction. Which in turn is a nice little segue to your experiences interacting with real people in the community at BlizzCon. So it's not just announcements, right? It's not just a bunch of PowerPoints. It's you guys actually getting to hang out with other fans and people. And you guys actually met each other.
Yeah, it was mostly hanging out with Nineball. That was mostly what it was. It was just, I would just be screaming until he came and found me like a lost child. Because he's a vet. This is my first ever BlizzCon. So it was mostly me just being like, oh, shiny lights. And then Nineball was like, no, come along. You'll get hit by a car if you keep doing that. No, but it was. I mean, you're completely right. Like half of what I did was I just like kind of ran around and was like, hi, it's a pleasure to meet you in the real world. I met some of my D2 speedrun team, right? Like Lucky Luciano, Mr. Hollywood, McCall, Cougs. Like I met these people in the flesh and blood. We have screamed at each other. We have basically cried together. We've competed together over the past 5 years, never met them in the real world. So that was awesome. Just that alone was like worth the price of admission.
Yeah, I said this when we did our like BlizzCon special podcast. With that the BlizzCon is really about the people, not the announcements. The announcements are nice, they're great, but you go to BlizzCon to meet your friends, to meet up with your friends, from all over the world and such. Stepping outside of Diablo real quick, one of the people that I connected with like Saturday night, and we just had like a couple of drinks when everything else was like crazy and the convention was over and such, is a guy that I have been playing World of Warcraft with since November of 2004. And so it's just like we just rolled undead warlocks at the same time, and we're out there just like killing things in Tirisfal Glades, and it's just like, hey, you want to party up? Sure. And then 20 years later, we're just sharing a drink at BlizzCon. Like, again, he hasn't been to like all of them, but he like started going like in 2000 and 2008, 2009. And we just meet up. We don't play World of Warcraft together anymore. I don't think either of us actually like really plays World of Warcraft anymore, but still it's someone that I know. And it's always about the people and the connections. And this one was actually really, really, really cool. I mean, I'm not gonna say that like any BlizzCon is like ever perfect, and this one definitely was a little rough around the edges. With how like things were put together and running, and there's like a funny story of us, like we were going to see the Diablo panel, security stops us and they won't let the Blizzard employee in. It's like, oh, sorry, you have the wrong wristband. And then I think it was like Lord Fluffy or the P-Child was up front and just said, hey, it's like, we're media, we're supposed to be in there. He's like, oh, you have a media badge. I don't care about this BlizzCon. I don't care about this Blizzard employees media, or this BlizzCon employees credentials, but you have a media badge. So yeah, you can come in. And so then like the 30 of us all like go through and finally get in to the auditorium and such. It's always controlled chaos, but it was really cool seeing a lot of people's first time, macro yourself included, and just the wide-eyed wonder of everything that's going on. And I got to play like a little tour guide. It's like, over here's the media room, food, water. These are the best bathrooms. This is how you get in and out and stuff like that. And then just watching everybody run around and have fun. And also Marriott over the Hilton. Never go to the Hilton lobby. It's way too loud. I mean, if partying and going deaf is your thing, 100% go to the Hilton, have fun. Nothing against it whatsoever. I prefer to actually hear the other people talking, so I like hanging out at the Marriott.
I got put in the Hilton. Get earplugs. Like the DJ, they set up a DJ in front of the doors to leave the building, because there's not room elsewhere. And it was cool. I actually dug a lot of the music. Nobody could really dance because they set up the DJ in front of the exit doors to leave the lobby, which was a wild choice from my side. Also, shout outs to the striking employees. While I got woken up at 5 a.m. every morning while I was actively working a BlizzCon event, for the first time ever, and I definitely didn't have anxiety about that in any way, shape, or form. They were striking for better wages. Shout outs to them. Get your money. Support striking workers. Support unions. I'm going to get weirdly political real quick, but like, support unions, support your working persons. It sucked waking up at 5 a.m. and just being like, what is happening? They had like a marching band outside of the Hilton, just being like, wake up, it's BlizzCon. And I was like, buddy, I went to sleep at 3 in the morning. I can't be doing this right now. The event was cool. Nine Bubble was awesome. Like there were a bunch of vets there who had to take a lot of people in under their wings, because you have like kind of the recently established like partner program now with the Diablo verse. So like Dread Sites was there as well. There's being like, here's how you walk through doors. And I'm like, there's a procedure for walking through doors? I didn't know that. I just thought my little whatever green wristband would make me go through places. It was crazy though. That's too many people at a convention. I'll go ahead and say it. There's too many people there. I went over to the World of Warcraft section. nope, don't go over there unless you want to wait in line for 6 hours for a plushie doll, which shout outs to the people who do that. You are a literal soldier. You're an absolute unit. I don't know how you managed to make that happen. But damn, it was a cool event. Damn, BlizzCon's awesome. It's just cool the whole time. Everything is cool. You're like, look at this cool thing. Hell yeah. Oh, let me take a. Oh, look at this cool thing.
So, I mean, Macro, you have a unique perspective in that it was not only your first, but then you were featured at it.
Yeah, I don't know why, dog. I'm not famous. I don't don't tell Blizzard. Hey, Blizzard doesn't listen to this, right? Hey, Blizzard, thank you.
Hey, come on. You don't need to call us out like that.
Oh no! I just realized that was a dig. No, that was only the joke. No. No, that was only a joke. Please don't listen to me right here. I'm super not famous. I don't know why they had me there. That being said, it was wild. I sure got to be in a meet and greet with Riker and Amaranth. So that was. I'm just sitting there like, these are famous people. I'll just be over here. I'll just sure. You want my signature? You don't know who I am? Sure.
So we need to stop there because like that is a story in and of itself. Because I didn't know that. I didn't know that pre-show.
Yeah, it was like I didn't know that. It was just like I was at the convention. It's like it's the meet and greet, but like I need food and like a nap or something like that. So I need to. I'm old, and so just afterwards, and I was just talking with Dread Scythe, and he's like, "Yeah," and Amaranth was there. I'm like, huh, wait. So we have like the Diablo personality meet and greet. And then they had Riker, Macro, and previously unannounced you're fucking with me, right?
No, it was just and then Amaranth was there. She's cool. It actually turns out we have a mutual friend. So I got to help her get set up with some hopefully with some plushies. But like they watch so Darth Microtransaction was supposed to be there. Right. Mm-hmm. Another person who, if you don't know Darth Microtransaction, he just got his third YouTube channel to have a silver plaque. Shout outs to Darth Microtransaction. I have no silver plaques. So just to give you the pecking. Well, it's a while, but like the pecking order. And sadly, he had like blown out an eardrum, so he couldn't make it. It turns out Amaranth has actually been like streaming Diablo 4. Like Amaranth has actually been actively playing Diablo 4. And it's cool that she got to come out. It was cool to meet her. But it was just like, oh, okay. So you have Riker. You have the Riker, right? Yep. Like you have, hey, folks, it's Riker here. Oh, no. He finally gave me a hat. I don't have it in the room, though. I'm not going to run off for it. But like you have the Riker. Then you have Amaranth. And then it's just like, hey, how's it going? I'm Mac. It's pleasure to meet you. I'm trying to like not make eye contact with people because I don't want them to feel bad and come walk over. But also I don't want them to feel like I'm weird and standoffish. I'm like, hey, have a great BlizzCon. And they're like, okay, guy.
Are you her security? Or?
So one of the security members, so they did like a swap of the guard at one point. And I'm kind of standing there. I'm holding a Sharpie. I get a tap on my shoulder and she's like, are you here with Amaranth? And I turn around and it's some guy. He's got an earpiece in. He's got a suit jacket. And I go, what? Look, you here with Amaranth? And I go, no. And then I turn away and I just hear him behind me just being like, does not compute. Like, he's like, okay, are you part of the event? And I went, yeah, hi, I'm Mac. I'm one of the I know my name's not up here. I'm theoretically one of the attractions currently. So even the security didn't know like why I was there. I was like, bro, this is a lot for my ego, but it's okay, sure. So she was cool though. Everybody was cool with it.
Out of curiosity, in the order as people were going, were you sandwiched in between the two of them?
No, dude, I was at the back of it. The light didn't even completely cover me. It went Riker, it went people, Riker, Amaranth, me. So people who wanted to see Riker got straight to him. People who just wanted Amaranth to step on them, which was one of the more popular pictures that people took. Shout outs. Hey, I'm fully support in all work. I'm fully supportive however your creative direction takes you. I love it so much. People want to do that. Hell yeah. Get whatever you need out of that. Super ups. I just knew anybody who laid down on the ground probably wasn't going to come to me for a signature. So that was a way to filter it for me. That was a way to filter it for me.
Anyone?
I didn't step on any, but nobody asked me to step on them.
You should have told me. If I would have let you step on me.
This is like getting to a point where like now I'm staging my own meet and greets to help my ego. That's a lot. I appreciate the energy though. I appreciate the energy.
Next BlizzCon, for anybody listening, when Mako is doing his signing, he is available for all poses.
All poses that are legal in the state of California.
Literally,
according.
If you see him just walking through the convention, just stop him and be like, "Can you step on me, please?"
Yeah.
I will do that. I'm a short king, so it'll be an interesting dynamic. Shout outs to everybody I met just being a short king. I appreciate that. Everybody was real in the 5'8", 5'9" region of height. I super appreciate that. Dread Scythe is like 7 feet tall standing next to us. It was great.
I did. So as BlizzCon was going, I had to message Nineball. I'm like, is Dread Scythe just a giant or is everybody short?
Both. It can be.
It's actually both.
Yeah.
It is both.
4K no los dos. Shout outs to like the 3 people who did stop me, who were just like, oh, hey Mac, hey man, I've been following you since D2R, and I was like, oh, it's time for my heart to melt. It's time for me to just turn into a puddle. Turns out like one of the Blizzard devs has been like sub to me since like my D2R days, and I was like, oh, that's wild. Keep your money, please. Don't do that. Don't do that at all.
You take it, you earned it.
Well, I'll go buy Taco Bell with it. Shoutouts to Taco Bell. I'm not sponsored. I just love Taco Bell. So
we don't have any sponsors either. So just free advertising.
Taco Bell, get at us. Taco Bell, get at Pure Diablo. That's what I'm saying.
Mountain Dew.
Oh.
Yeah. Baja Blast.
Baja
Just
Blast.
saying, I'm already on point with marketing. I've already got it right here, man.
One of many things we could do.
Trust me, if you're not expecting it, I will do it.
Perfect.
The Amaranth story, it obviously was worth a little derail there, and I just want to say that if you ever want to get into hot tub content, I am all for it.
I won't say it's the first time somebody has said that to me. And the moment I don't live in this little apartment I can kind of afford outside of Boston, bro, it's gonna get wild. The moment I have my own property, it's gonna get wild. Welcome to Diablo Steamy Edition. That's all I'm saying.
Diablo Nights.
One of the big things that we would do with our like after BlizzCon tradition is Sunday. Probably one of the more stories that gets around is like Korean barbecue and karaoke, which of course did happen. But the other part of it is literally just soaking in like a hotel hot tub for about like 2 hours to try and recover from the previous 2 days. So yeah, there's definitely there's a connection point there between Diablo and hot tubs.
Just live stream from the con, Diablo Hot Tub Edition. Just everybody I gotta get on a flight.
Yeah.
So Amaranth aside, you did actually get to hang out and be a central focus, not just in a line, but playing Diablo and talking Diablo. What was that like?
So Adam Jackson, for people who haven't seen, I got to interview Adam Jackson, lead live class designer. I think I remembered his entire title this time. Adam Jackson's at the helm of why classes are the way that they are. And the man is just a wild nerd. Like, he is such a deep, deep nerd. I love talking with him. You know, I get an opportunity to chat with him fairly often. Whenever I have a complaint about Necromancer minions, I send him a Wikipedia entry of like, here's my most recent buffs I would like to see. And he goes, be realistic. And I go, no. So he is phenomenal. He cares about this game in a way that I really wanted to help kind of humanize with the interview, because I don't think people really see the devs as like artistically like vision driven people, and they just so are. If you ask him the question, why does this skill do this and this skill does this? He goes, let's back up to the concept of skills. Like let's get back up to what does a skill need to do in the video game, and what does that mean to connect us back to the like everything that he thinks about is so wildly in depth. And it's not just the numbers need to go big, do the big smash. It's like this does this because of XYZ, and it needs to fulfill 1, 2, 3. And that's how we get to this permutation that at the end goes, this skill does an explosion. And I love talking with him, and I really appreciated the opportunity to just be like, hey man, I've heard you say all this smart stuff. Say it in front of these people, like kind of uncut, kind of, you know, he was doing his best to not reveal anything, you know, and he did a great job. You know, I definitely think he managed all of his contractual obligations, but every opportunity I get to talk with him, I've become a huge, you know, Adam Jackson fanboy, and I'm really glad that he's at the helm when it comes to what the game's going to continue to look like, because he has such good head on his shoulders. And hopefully from what I'm getting back from people, they were able to kind of pick up on that. And that was my mission, was like, I need people to know this dude exists and how he approaches stuff. And I think we succeeded at that, because the dude's a genius. I can't gush about him enough, honestly.
But I want to point out, you spent all that time talking about Adam Jackson, not talking about yourself. You were chosen to bring this out to the forefront. How did that feel?
Well, it felt pretty bad because I had to respec out of my minion build. And the issue was, okay, so here's the context. I was playing it, and apparently DatMods, so shout out to DatMods. DatMods at one point said, is Mac playing a Z DPS build, a 0 DPS build? I found out that this was going to be happening. On stream, I had started swapping over to a minion build to be able to start testing that. And I went, oh God, I need to stream and do an interview and talk to people, and I need to look like I know what I'm doing. So it needs to be easy. Oh, I'll respec over to Infinimist. Infinimist is a build that casts Blighted Corpse Explosion, the AoE damage, and resets cooldowns. And it doesn't work if you don't have Blighted Corpse Explosion. And when I respec'd, I forgot to pick Blighted Corpse Explosion. So I was just running tier 70 Nightmare Dungeons with a build that doesn't work, and just desperately trying to pretend yep, that's what it's supposed to do. That's, yep. That's intentional. And about 30 minutes into it, I'm sitting there, and at first I wasn't really making a big deal of it. And I just very quickly look at my skill tree, but I don't want to stop and respec my character, right? I'm oh, okay, all right. Okay. Do I have my gear on? Did I not equip an item? Do I have a Paragon board? So it just turns out I didn't click Blighted Corpse Explosion. I missed one skill point, so my build was completely turned off. But okay, enough deflecting. It was insanely cool. Unironically, it was a little bit hectic because my slot was right after opening ceremonies. So there's a ton going on behind the scenes, right? For all the production crews and the community managers. And they had one dude working on getting the mics right. Apparently my setup was the only one that went off without a hitch, because I don't know, I'm just preternaturally lucky. And it was okay, the moment opening ceremonies is over, I need to be streaming, which is physically impossible. But I'm also at my first BlizzCon, and they have Chris Metzen is on the stage. Everything is cool and happening, and I can't tear my eyes away. And I had to leave opening ceremonies early, just be there in time. And then I sit down at this double computer rig that I've only ever used one computer. They're streaming is here, gameplay is here, and I went, that does not compute. That's not how I do stuff. I couldn't update my stream info because I don't know how to do that through OBS. So it just said whatever it said a week ago. The last time it's doing good Diablo. It doesn't say anything about BlizzCon. But shout outs to my community. They showed up, and they did their best to help me, assuage my fear. And I like to think that I perform best when there's not really a script going. So that was kind of playing to my strengths. It was wildly cool, man. There was like people behind me who like paid to go to BlizzCon and like, I'll sit down and watch this guy play the game. And I was like, why would you do that? There's other stuff you can go do other stuff.
You sell yourself short.
I have a lead developer here. He's cool. And then like Adam Fletcher came and like saved me a little bit. He kind of like sat down and talked with me. And then Gymnasium, another great dude, another D2 dude, also Max Roll, and one of the other featured streamers there. Like he came and hung out with me for a little bit. So it was really, really cool. I had that moment where I was just like, 5 years ago I started speedrunning Diablo 2, and I guess I'm here now. So like that's insane. You know what I mean? So all in all, it was mostly a blur of God damn it, my build sucks so bad and I look like an idiot because I didn't click a single skill point. And I'm over here like, why am I doing no damage? I guess I'll go do open world content because at least it's there. I can just kind of blow through it and nobody will notice. But yeah, shout out to people who noticed. That definitely didn't make me feel awkward at all. It's okay.
Well, at least you recognized your mistake later.
Yeah, like 4 days later when I was home. Perfect time to go fix it at that point. Yeah.
Well, it's still very cool. And we're all, genuinely very proud of you. I think it's awesome that you got the recognition that, honestly, I think you deserve.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Said it since, I think you were on the 3rd or 4th podcast that we've done, that you're putting out good stuff, and you put that out there, and you're rewarded in kind. So that's awesome.
Thanks, fam. Okay,
now let's insult him because I built him up too much. 9ball, you can say all the things you were saying pre-show. He doesn't respect our time. He does Duriel run, something like that. What were you saying?
Okay, all right. I'm sorry.
So specifically what I was saying is like, oh, thank God he's still streaming because I need to get these 3 more living steel, and this gives me time to get the other chest. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
You needed more time while you were streaming, which is totally fine. And it was okay because Helltide had just popped, so we both wanted to do Helltide.
Needed living steel, yeah.
It worked. It worked for us. Okay, we're getting close to kind of closing out. Last kind of thoughts around BlizzCon from the two of you. And 9ball, you've been kind of quiet as of late.
So like one of my last thoughts when it comes to BlizzCon, and the camera right here, I'm going to say this, Dread Scythe, you're fucking singing a song at karaoke next year. You got away this year. You're singing next year, man. Okay, I'm done.
That's it? Then okay.
It's like what can I say that I haven't already said like a million times? I absolutely love BlizzCon. It's like just a great hangout for friends, experiences, and stuff like that. There's just such a shared camaraderie. People, I got to meet Woody for the first time, and he's not like a person that I chat with or regularly or even really know. And it was just like, hey, what's going on, man, and such, and just instant camaraderie, because of the shared passion, the shared love, for the game and everything like that. It's really cool and special, and it's just so hard to describe for someone that's never really been there or experienced it. And yeah, already looking forward to next year, honestly.
Macro, you're going to talk in a second, but I want every listener to just take a moment and right now just guess what 9ball's go-to karaoke song is. All right, just say it out loud. What do you think it is? And then he's going to answer in a second, I bet. So in your brain, you've got it. You've got 9ball. What's he going to sing? Mac, do you want to guess what he would do, or do you know?
I didn't get to go to karaoke. I didn't know that was a thing. Also, I think that night we ended up passing out super early.
It was Sunday. I think you left before we even went to karaoke.
Because my flight was at midnight on Sunday. So I'm definitely going to be taking an extra day after the con for sure. Because it turns out Sunday is like a whole other day of the con basically, but it's like off screen.
At least for us in the Diablo community and such, it's always a day to like just kind of like hang out, relax. Monday or Tuesday is definitely the preferred leaving day, so you can actually fit in everything. I know, content creators, like yourself, Riker, and such, that is like an extra day that you're not creating content and paying the bills and such. So I definitely understand it. Don't hold it against anybody. But yeah, if you can, by all means, fly out Monday and come hang out with us. We'll feed you meat and then we'll sing some songs.
So what
song?
I thought you guys were going to guess first.
Is it a Bon Jovi? No.
You get your guess, and then I'm gonna give my guess, and I want to say that I think you would do "Love Hurts" by Nazareth.
No.
No? I can see you belting out "Love Hurts."
No.
You're a tenor, though, right?
Oh, I'm tone deaf. No.
Elton John.
So I'm gonna say Xanth was in genre.
That sucks because I don't know what they said.
So I said
I got nothing.
"Love Hurts" by Nazareth. So
yeah, I don't know what that is. So
oh man. Well, nope. We're already going late here. We can't dovetail into that. So what is the song?
George Michael's.
Okay.
Careless Whisper.
Careless Whisper.
Yeah. Though I will say, I'm pretty sure that I sung the most that night. Yeah, I was hitting like even if I didn't have the microphone, I was just sitting there singing along, and my voice was raw on Monday, that's for sure. But yeah, no, that was my go-to song. I always had to play something from Journey. Don't Stop Believing this time, because in previous years I'd do Worlds Apart, which is my favorite Journey song, and no one would sing along with me, and we hit some of the classics and stuff like that. We did some Disney. There was some anime. We did Com Susser Todd, for anybody that understands that. Evangelion reference. It was good fun. A lot of fun.
All right, Macro, last thoughts around BlizzCon?
I desperately hope that I'm relevant next year so that they'll fly out so I can afford to go to BlizzCon. That would be super cool. No, it was a wildly powerful experience. Really, like, my first thought is my last thought, which was sitting in the opening ceremonies. I kind of alluded to this, but like reminded me that I've been playing these games since as far back as I can remember. Like, I played Warcraft 2 with my dad on PlayStation. And I just like watching him. Trying to navigate. I think the first mission is literally like you have a band of elven archers, and there's like a cool female NPC whose name I don't remember. And you go down to the shoreline, and there's like orcs on a ship, and it's like trying to defend that. So shoutouts if I got that wrong. Sorry, but like playing that game with my dad as a kid, to watching like Chris Metzen walk back out on stage and just being like, it's time to bring back world. He literally said, it's time to come back home. And I started getting teary eyed. Like, I played one character in World of Warcraft for 9 years straight. I have a year's worth of hours played on a single character, and I never like sat in Orgrimmar on my flying mount. Like, I always logged off. I forgot literally how much of my life has been spent playing these video games, and that like I did that to enjoy playing video games and to hang out with my friends. And I still have Facebook friends from like a guild that I ran back in college. And like, I don't talk to them anymore, but like they're there and I see when their birthdays are. It was powerful. It was powerful to be in that moment and to experience that. And like, I'm getting like emotional considering it right now. And it's just like, cool. That was a trip out to California I took, and I met all these amazing people and I got to do all these amazing things, but mostly it was just like getting to sit down and like eat dinner with people I've known for years and I've never seen in the real world. So it was cool, man. Cons are cool. Video games are cool. Passion is like, love what you do and don't worry about who doesn't. That was BlizzCon. Love what you do and don't worry about who doesn't was my takeaway from it. Yeah.
Man. All right. So next year.
And you need to come next year.
Yeah. Maybe. I've never gone.
I got mods for my chat who need to come out next year. You need to come out next year. We got to figure out whatever that looks like. You got to, whatever needs to happen. We need to meet Xanth IRL.
I'm pretty great. Not like, anyway. So as we're closing out, I want to just bring up a shout out to a couple of podcast reviews that we pulled in last time. So Baron Dargard, thank you for that nice little review. We're working on the audio, we know. Men's Room 1776, thanks for recognizing that we are just some dudes who love Diablo. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. And then this was a long one, but Taste the Face, thanks for reviewing, and you brought it up in the review, so we'll shout it out again. Blizzard is still looking for blood. If you have not donated blood, the last step to get that PC that is fueled by blood, or at least has a little bit in it, they still need some more pints. 666 pints is not a lot. That's actually what you will give 1 pint on the average donation. So if you can, get out and donate and then submit that so that people can get a chance at a PC. And more importantly, 1 pint of blood will save, can go to up to 3 people. So do some good, get some cool stuff, and keep that going. Outside of that, let's close it out as we always do with a moo, moo,
Moo. I can't donate blood. Please go do it for me. Moo.
Moo.